We jumping right into part two about Andrew Johnson um, and his racist background and why cancel culture is so important. The truth amongst all of the lies. Let's get started, family. We're gonna go right here. I'm gonna I'm gonna let y'all understand what happened with Andrew Johnson's impeachment. Get everything together, see what we got. Okay, let's go.
The Andrew Johnson impeachment. On May 16, 1868, the U.S. Senate voted 35 to 19, one vote short of the two-thirds majority needed to convict President Andrew Johnson of high crimes and misdemeanors, as he was charged under the 11th article of impeachment. 10 days later, on May 26, the Senate also failed by the same margin, 35 to 19, to convict Johnson on Articles 2 and 3. At this point, the Senate voted to adjourn the impeachment trial without considering the remaining articles. When Johnson received the news, he broke into tears. The Senate as a court of impeachment for the trial of Andrew Johnson. Theodore R. Davis, artist. Alias. In Harper's Weekly, April 11, 1868, pp. 232-233. Prints and Photographs Division. Johnson, a Southern Democrat, assumed the presidency after Lincoln's assassination. He issued a plan allowing former Confederate states to return representatives to Congress as soon as they repealed the ordinances of secession, repudiated Confederate debts, abolished slavery, and ratified the 13th Amendment. Lacking the personal and political sagacity of President Lincoln, however, Johnson was unable to bring about the transition smoothly, and what ensued was a cataclysmic encounter between the executive and legislative branches. In 1865, Johnson took advantage of a long congressional recess to recognize a Reconstruction government in all former Confederate states, except Texas. The states then took advantage of his conciliatory policy to pass black codes limiting freedmen's rights. When the 39th Congress reconvened in December 1865, the Republican majority in Congress refused to seat the newly elected Southern members of Congress. In early 1866, angry congressmen, led by men such as Charles Sumner and Thaddeus Stevens, passed the Freedmen's Bureau and civil rights bills to empower those the codes repressed. Johnson vetoed both bills, but Congress overrode the veto of the Civil Rights Act on April 9, 1866, the first major piece of legislation to pass over a presidential veto in U.S. history. George T. Brown, Sergeant at Arms, serving the summons on President Johnson. Theodore R. Davis, artist. Alias. In Harper's Weekly, March 28, 1868, p. 193. Prints and Photographs Division. Clearly at cross purposes, Congress approved the 14th Amendment, while Johnson recommended that the states refuse to ratify it. Congress responded with its own militant Reconstruction program and passed the Army Appropriations Act to thwart the president's power as commander-in-chief, insisting that his orders all be communicated through an intermediary. Congress also repassed the Freedmen's Bureau Act and overrode Johnson's veto. Passage of the Tenure of Office Act only heightened the antagonism between Johnson and the Congress. The act forbade the president from removing office holders, including cabinet members, without the Senate's approval. Formulated in language akin to that used in the Constitution to describe grounds for impeachment, the act made the removal of office holders without Senate approval a high misdemeanor. Johnson defied Congress by suspending Secretary of War Edwin M. Stanton on August 12, 1867, and appointing Ulysses Grant Secretary of War ad interim. Grant resigned this post on January 14, 1868, after the Senate refused to agree to Stanton's dismissal. Next, Johnson appointed Lorenzo Thomas as Secretary of War on February 21, 1868, but this time Stanton, who had actually been working with radicals in Congress, barricaded himself inside his office. The last speech on impeachment, Thaddeus Stevens closing the debate in the House, March 2. Theodore R. Davis, artist. Alias. In Harper's Weekly, March 21, 1868, p. 180. Prints and Photographs Division. This deadlock culminated in the first presidential impeachment proceedings in U.S. history. In February 1869, the House voted articles of impeachment and 7 House managers, including former Civil War Majors General Benjamin F. Butler and John A. Logan, prepared Johnson's trial. Lincoln appointee Salmon P. Chase, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, presided. 10 of 11 articles concerned the Tenure and Army Appropriations Acts. The last article claimed that Johnson had attempted to undermine the Congress. Johnson did not attend the trial. The impeachment of President William Jefferson Clinton. The second trial of a U.S. president on articles of impeachment occurred in January and...
Okay, family. So now y'all got who Johnson was, a just brief view of who him and the Democratic Party were. You know what I mean? So let's go to something else. Okay, let's read about the Democratic Party, because I know a lot of people hold them to their heart. It says right here, when you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defunded slavery. No, I'm sorry, y'all. My bad. Let me start off. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Act of 1950s and the 1960s. Okay, we're going to look at that again. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case of Dred Scott versus Sanford. The court ruled that the slaves aren't citizens. Their property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. Okay. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency, but Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plans to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economy and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment and abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights of the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900s. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. Okay, we're gonna get into that. You see, until 1935, you have to understand truth and lies and what you are being a part of. You're taking part in a ritual that's destroying you, in an energy that's always been against you. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property, run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests, used the suburb, the black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. A historian, Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in effect, the Ku Klux Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. Family, family, family. Come on, family. We got to do better, man. We have to do better. I'm going to read this one more time. When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Act of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plans to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economy and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the right to vote. All 3 passed only because universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights to the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to the Southern state legislature as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by the 1900s. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses. And they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests, used to subvert the black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in fact, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. I think that speaks for itself about the Democratic Party. So let's talk about Andrew Johnson and how racist he was. Okay, we're going to go to these acts. The one that he vetoed. This right here, the act established a Bureau for the Relief of Freedmen, which were the Indians, black people, us, and refugees. Be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that there is hereby established in the War Department to continue during the present war of rebellion, and for a year thereafter, a Bureau of Refugee Freedom, Abandoned Lands, to which shall be committed as hereinafter provided the supervision and management of all abandoned lands and the control of all subjects relating to refugees and freedmen from rebel states, or from any district of the country within the territory embraced in the operations of the Army. Under such rules and regulations as many be prescribed by the head of the Bureau and approved by the President. Okay, we're going to go down. This was the Free Land Act, where we got the 40 acres and the mule. You know what I'm saying? Because they had took our land with Washington them. And they knew that they had to recompensate these black people for their land during the war. You know what I'm saying? The Civil War. Because the South was a monster. But the Republicans was helping black people get their land back. And then they were helping them, you know what I'm saying, down the road with the Freedmen's Banks to get loans to farm their land. But let's go to the other one. Right here. As Andrew Johnson came into office, he vetoed the Freedmen's Act. He vetoed it, shut it down. We ain't getting these niggas no land. We're not integrating with them either. So he did something else. The blacks who owned the land, they were allowing refugees from Europe, South Africa, you know, the Portuguese, all of them to come over. They whole family, we taught them how to farm and let them stay on our land. But this was the trick, how they tricked us out of our land, and how those same people that we allowed into our property and we fed and taught them, they turned around and stabbed us in the back. It was all a plan. And the Civil Rights Act was wrote for them, the very first one. And I'm gonna read it to you. And they excluded us out of it. Andrew Johnson. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding the Indians, not taxed. See, they couldn't tax us because they had already took our land and they was giving it back to us. And that was in, let me give it to you in the raw. Yeah, these people been playing dirty games with us, man. That was the Bureau of Refugee Freedmen and Abandoned Lands Bill of March 3rd, 1865. See, they had just gave us our land back. And then they said, man, they don't want the war, but man, these we can't allow them take over like they did. Man, they got their own banks. They got more banks than we do. They doing better than we are. And we had just took their land and then he give it back to them. So Andrew Johnson say, no, I'm gonna veto that. He said, I'm gonna veto that. They can't have that. They don't deserve that. So all y'all in the South, we got, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna surrender, but you gonna go up there and kill it. Once you kill Lincoln, then I'm gonna get in office. And I got you. Once I get in office, I got you. So they murder Abraham Lincoln. Johnson come in, the vice president. He enacts the Act of April 9th, 1866. And he put some real game in it. Label it the Civil Rights Act and say, be it enacted by the state in the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding the Indians, not taxed. The ones that was that last bill that I just vetoed for, we gonna exclude them out of this. But we gonna put it in the name of them. Are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States and such citizens of every race and color without regards to any previous conditions of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for the crimes whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, and to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, into full and equal benefits of all laws and proceedings for the security of the persons and property as it is enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to the like punishment, pains, and penalties, and to none other any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom to the contrary notwithstanding. So what they saying was, we finna take these black folks' land back. And all you immigrants that you Italians, you Polacks, you know what I'm saying? You Irishmen, y'all come on over here. They done taught y'all what to do. Y'all been on their land. So we finna take it from them and we gonna give it to y'all. You see? And I'm finna make it where they can't own nothing. See, they done came out with, see, what's going on with them? Who do they think they are? That's why he was impeached. See, he was a monster. Yeah. He was the truth. See, he was born to immigrants, you know what I'm saying, who came here in the 1790s from Newcastle, England. His family was, you know. Hey, so they had a plan. We're gonna get him in here, man. We're gonna take this, you know, dude, we're finna kill him. And I got y'all. Gangsters. That's what they was. Liars. That's what they was. Great deceivers. That's what they was. So cancel culture is a must, because the truth will set you free. Not a lie, but the truth. You see? And see, this is the Freedman Act, the one that he vetoed. And be it further enacted that the commissioner, under the direction of the president, shall have authority to set apart for the use of loyal refugees and freedmen, which was the Indians, such tracts of land within the insurrectionary states as shall have been abandoned, or to which the United States shall have acquired titles by confiscation or sale or otherwise. You see? Where'd it go? Let me get back where I was. Or otherwise, into every male citizens, whether refugee or freedman, as foresaid, there shall be assigned not more than 40 acres of such land, and the person to whom it was so assigned shall be protected in the use and enjoyment of the land. You see, for the term of 3 years at an annual rent not exceeding 6 per centum upon the value of such land, as it was appraised by the state authorities in the year 1860 for the purpose of taxation, and in case no such appraisal can be found, then the rental shall be based upon the estimated value of the land in said year, to be ascertained in such manner as the commissioner may by regulation prescribed. At the end of the said term, or at any time during said term, the occupants of any parcel so assigned may purchase the land and receive such titles thereto as the United States can convey, upon paying therefore the value of the land. See, Andrew Johnson could have that. So we got to kill him. We got to kill him and take this land and give them to my people. They just got over here. They done already taught them everything. They know the land and everything. We got to kill him and take that land back from them colored people and give it to our people that just came over here, who they helped. You see what kind of people we dealing with? You see. Then he come back with the Civil Rights Act of 1866. That's what it is called, but they changed it, the name of it. You know what I'm saying? They changed the name of it to the Act of April 9th, 1866. We dealing with some demons, family. They got some deep, dark secrets. You understand me? They got some deep, dark secrets. Deep, dark secrets. And it's going on right now today. As we speak. It's going on right now today. I said, as we speak, it's going on. You know, all the way up. You know what I'm saying?
By Trenton, New Jersey.
The color of law. It describes redlining. Y'all know what redlining is. See, all of these people laws, they murderers, they thieves, they're liars. This is why cancel culture is a must. It's a must. And us knowing our history is a must, because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. You understand me? Our people are terrified right now in the inner cities. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, people getting shot on the freeway in the head. And they'll say they all gangbangers. No, because it's a lot of women and children getting shot, but ain't no white people getting shot. They found them black men down there in Georgia hanging and say they hung themselves. They found them hanging out there in California and say they hung themselves. They're over in Africa murdering all of the presidents. See, it's simultaneous. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And that word Reconstruction holds a deep, dark secret. Every time Reconstruction hit, black folks lost everything they had. Everything. That's why out of these 38 executive orders that President Biden has wrote, how many of y'all have read one? We talk about the Asians and the Middle Eastern Islanders and hate crimes and how they trying to put it on black folks. See, that hate crime, they can put you away for a long time, and under that hate crime, you become another free slave. Slave labor. See, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And this New thing they got with the poker. Say they can take control of you. You see Cardi B and all of them doing that. See, they done got wise. See that the devil is wise, but he's not smart. He's the master of deception. He'll tell you you need it. It's gonna save your life, and it's killing you all the time. I'm keeping it 100% real with you, family. The devil is a liar. And we need to learn our truth. This is part 2 of cancel culture is a must in America's racist history. Andrew Johnson. The Democratic Party. Share this for you one more time. They got a history of ruling through terror. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property, run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests under the suburb of black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror. Much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by the Democrat Nathan Bedford Forrest. Lynchings. They burned our people, family. Burned them, lynched them. We got 100 years of lynching. Newspaper articles where the sheriff would let them come get them. Everybody involved. See, it's a paper trail. How they made postcards without sanctuary. How they get up 20,000 of them and watch and lynch a black man, cut his fingers off, cut his private parts off. This is the demonic entity that we're dealing with, and the liar. But the truth will set you free, family. I'm here to set my family free. Part 2. Cancel culture is a must. We're going to get deep in 3, 4. We coming all the way up to present day, baby. But we got to go back and talk about old George and how all this land was ours when they stole it. Let's get it, family.